said that you're fearful the curse is going to brothers.
Yeah.
Do you believe that?
I believe that it can. Well, the DeBarge knows their reason why they are where they are and how to get out of where they are.
My oldest brother died.
Bobby?
Yeah. And yeah,
of addiction?
I'm scared of dying. I'm scared of losing my brother. We need no more deaths in our family.
Those who grew up in the 80s have probably heard of the music group DeBarge with their up-tempo R&B tracks such as I Like It and All This Love. They were a Motown-influenced family band that was slated to follow in the Jackson 5's footsteps.
Nice to see you again, El. Randy? James? Mark? Bunny? Wait, oh, you were reminding me. Of the rest of this family, are they going to enter this profession too?
Yeah, I guess they are, Dick. We can't keep them away from it, man.
So we'll have 10 DeBarges descending upon an unsuspecting world?
Yeah, we're gonna give them DeBarge fever.
Tell me, Joe, what are you going to be doing this year? I'll get down to him eventually.
Well, we're looking forward to some exciting things, like going on tour for everybody and to let them come out and see us in action.
Action, yeah.
While DeBarge achieved success later in its career, several members, including Bobby DeBarge's own son, cited personal conflict as a reason for the band's shortcomings and, after 5 albums, disbanded in 1989 following the incarceration after 2 of its members. Despite them disbanding, their passion of music was transferred to Bobby's son, Bobby Jr., who, like his father, sings with a falsetto. He makes music with his cousins Andrew, Christinia, and Eldra, and through them, Bobby's musical legacy remains 27 years after his death. So what rumors did Bobby DeBarge's son confirm about his family? And what happened to the DeBarge's legacy? Let's get into it.
You've said that you're fearful the curse is going to your brothers.
Yeah.
Do you believe that?
I believe that it can.
The legacy of the DeBarge's musical journey started with brothers Tommy and Bobby, who formed a funk group called Switch. Then came the tremendously popular music group DeBarge, which originally consisted of siblings Elle, Bunny, Marty, and Randy, and was later joined by brothers James and Bobby. An 8th DeBarge, Chico, made waves as a solo act but was considered a part of the larger DeBarge constellation.
Are the rest of this family, are they going to enter this profession too?
Yeah, I guess they are, Dick. We can't keep them away from it, man.
So we'll have 10 DeBarges descending upon an unsuspecting world?
Yeah, we're gonna give them DeBarge fever.
In short, the DeBarges were a big family made up of musicians. Their biggest success was the 1985 DeBarge hit Rhythm of the Night, which featured in the film The Last Dragon. Despite their success in the music industry, the DeBarges' personal lives have been defined by discord. Between their struggles with addiction, the crimes they suffered and committed, and the soap opera-like drama they created, the DeBarges were plagued with a very depressing life. According to their mother Etterlene, the DeBarge siblings had music in their blood. Speaking with M Live, she recalled that her father, a choir director, was a deeply talented and entertaining musician, and this talent was spread to her family. One of 11 children herself, Etterlene ended up having 10 kids, most of whom became famous musicians in the 1980s. While the DeBarges might have taken after their grandfather talent-wise, their father Robert DeBarge Sr. may have had the largest impact and allegedly influenced them negatively.
You've said that you're fearful the curse is going to your brothers.
Yeah.
Do you believe that?
I believe that it can.
Etterlene met her husband Robert shortly after her father died when she was 17 and romantically inexperienced. Robert was 4 years older, in the army, and white, which made him socially forbidden fruit. Unfortunately, he was also insanely jealous, according to Etterlene, and ordered her not to wear jewelry, makeup, or anything else that might attract another man. After a hasty wedding, things rapidly went downhill. Etterlene said Robert tormented her physically and emotionally, even keeping her continuously pregnant. Her words were backed up by her children who had horrific memories of their father. "My father a lot of my brothers and sisters," Chico DeBarge once said on an interview with Vibe. Bobby DeBarge allegedly took the bulk of the but all the children suffered mentally and emotionally from their father's hand. Bunny blamed the siblings' professional woes and personal struggles on the ugliness they endured as children, which came back to haunt them as adults. Robert Sr. denied ever his family, but something certainly scarred them. Before starting DeBarge as a formative member, singer and oldest male in the musical family, Bobby DeBarge took part in several short-lived pop outfits, including Hot Ice and Switch. Switch was formed in 1979 with initial members Mark, Randy, Bunny, and L. The family group DeBarge inducted Bobby and Chico in 1987 and 1988. Musically, Bobby was a jack of all trades who could do it all. He could sing, write, and produce, all of which he displayed on all 5 DeBarge studio releases. Iconic Motown founder Berry Gordy once called Bobby DeBarge the most talented artist I have signed, and music producer Bernd Lichters also said he'd never heard anyone sound quite like Bobby, and with so much ease. Bobby DeBarge was a talented instrumentalist and vocalist, and he began playing in local bands, along with his younger brother Tommy. In 1975, after teaming up with fellow Grand Rapids musician Gregory Williams, the duo began a group with several other Midwestern musicians and successfully auditioned for Barry White's background group White Heat, helping to produce and release their debut album that year. The following year, White dropped all but one musician from the band due to tax issues, and the group, which consisted of DeBarge, Williams, Philip Ingram, Tommy DeBarge, T.C. Brown, Stanley Brown, Jody Sims, Arnett Hayes, Adam Fry, Darnell Wyrick, M.C. Clark, and Stanley Hood, recorded an album in 1976 under the name Hot Ice, entitled Pall Mall Groove, which included DeBarge's incredible singing and piano performance on his composition Please Don't Let Me Go, released in 1977. That year, Bobby returned to Grand Rapids, despondent that his career hadn't progressed, and unfortunately ventured deeper into an already existing addiction. After the breakup of White Heat, Gregory Williams remained in Akron and sought out new musicians including Tommy DeBarge, Philip Ingram, Jody Sims, Eddie Fluellen, MC Clark, and Arnett Hayes to start a new band. Right after completing a demo tape, he took it to Motown Records. The label wanted to sign the group, who were now calling themselves Switch, because of their ability to switch instruments. At Williams's invitation, Bobby, seeking a chance to find musical stardom, vowed to get clean from his addiction. Motown soon signed the act, which now included Bobby's brother Tommy. A year after their signing, they released their debut album in 1978, which featured production from Jermaine Jackson, reached gold status thanks to There'll Never Be, which was solely written by DeBarge, and also featured a favorite ballad of theirs, I Want to Be Closer, on which Philip Ingram and DeBarge shared lead. The group hit gold again with Switch 2, which included another DeBarge-penned hit, I Call Your Name. Switch became a recording and performing attraction, not only due to the band's overall musicianship, but also due to DeBarge's multi-octave vocal range. After that, they had their third gold-selling album, This Is My Dream, which was the group's first album to not include input from Jackson, and which the band's founding members, DeBarge, Jody Sims, and Gregory Williams co-produced. The album included the hit Love Over and Over Again. By then, DeBarge had returned to using after several years of sobriety and also began using which caused tension between DeBarge and Switch group members. In 1981, following the release of Switch's fifth album, Switch 5, Bobby DeBarge suddenly left the group after Motown offered him a solo recording deal, later finalized in 1983. By then, DeBarge was overseeing the production of his siblings' albums. Bobby co-produced their debut album and co-wrote with younger brother L the song Queen of My Heart, in which he performed falsetto ad-libs near the end of the recording. By 1987, perhaps taking their cue from Bobby, splitting from his own group, L and their sister Bunny had left DeBarge to pursue solo careers, with L finding the most success. Bobby had troubles producing his solo debut, and his solo career failed to pick up, so he curtailed his aspirations and joined his siblings' group, forming a revamped DeBarge quartet that recorded the album Bad Boys. Bobby and younger brother James split vocal leads on the project. Despite his overwhelming talent, Bobby DeBarge had a darker side that eventually made its way into the spotlight, ultimately clouding his successes. The musician was described in an article by Vibe as a tortured soul, having sunk into addiction in the late 1970s. Unfortunately for Bobby, he never resurfaced. He suggested that his problems resulted from alleged by his father, as Vibe reported, and as Chico DeBarge claimed. It was also been speculated that fame simply provided too many temptations and imposed too few restrictions for him, making him let go of the things that were important to him. Bobby DeBarge was the first in the family to succumb to but certainly not the last. Bunny, L, Tommy, Chico, and James DeBarge all battled addiction for years. Happened, their mother Etterlene DeBarge told Atlanta Daily World of the musical family's addiction. When L got into just paralyzed him. He just couldn't deal with all the people in the music industry. He couldn't deal with their fakeness and people him off. Motown had taken all of his publishing and they're still making money from those songs. According to Vibe, Bobby had been addicted to since his teens in the heyday of Switch, always riding the coaster of sobriety before returning to opioids. But regardless of how his addiction began, Bobby's fate was unforeseen and tragic to family, friends, and countless fans. Not only did the family battle, some ended up in jail several times, with the immensely popular 1985 hit Rhythm of the Night featured in the film The Last Dragon. DeBarge was on the track to success. Any hopes of mainstream popularity were dashed in 1988, however, when DeBarge family members Bobby and Chico, along with 4 others, were arrested for in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Both Bobby and Chico ended up in court. The resulting convictions and prison sentences marked the end of the family musical group, and DeBarge disbanded in 1989. As reported by UPI, the DeBarge brothers conspired to more than 2 pounds of Michigan from Los Angeles. The operation was busted when Chico and a conspirator were found with packages during a passenger inspection at Detroit Metropolitan Airport. Following his release in 1993, he vowed to stay clean, signing a management agreement with Bernd Lichters, for whom DeBarge, with Hot Ice, recorded the Pall Mall Groove album years earlier, as well as signing a management agreement as partnership with Ed Wright in 1985, who guided him during 1994 to record songs he wrote in prison. The resulting album, released in August 1995 on A&E Records just before his death, was entitled It's Not Over. Throughout that year, he was lying low in Gregory Williams' California home before he returned to Michigan for his final days. While in prison, DeBarge confided to his family that he had contracted HIV. When he became gravely ill, his family sent him to a hospice in Grand Rapids. He died of AIDS complications there on August 16, 1995, at the age of 39. He is buried in Garfield Park Cemetery in Grand Rapids. According to Gregory Williams, who attended school with Bobby DeBarge and performed alongside him in the group Switch, the singer's last years were hell. He was separated from his wife and kids and acting paranoid toward everybody. Bobby knew his life was basically over. It was also alleged that he grew distant from his family as his health declined from the vicious disease he contracted in prison. Widespread and effective treatment for the complications brought on by HIV/AIDS had not become widely available in time to help Bobby. Bobby was always very sensitive and withdrawn, Williams said, and there was a lot of at the hands of Mr. DeBarge. Became his main way to escape. It was also rumored that Bobby was not straight, and that while he was married to his wife Terry, he was also in a relationship with Tony, a gay man. They lived in a condo in California for 3 years before his demise. Unfortunately, Tony also died of AIDS. Bobby and his wife Terry met when she was 15 years old, and he was in his early 30s. On December 10, 1990, they officially got married, and it was confirmed that the couple had a good life and enjoyed each other's company. Sadly, their marriage only lasted 6 years before Bobby passed away. Bob was also in a relationship with Michael Jackson's sister, LaToya Jackson, and it was believed that she influenced the famous song I Call Your Name. The DeBarges' success before their legacy slowly faded was usually compared to the Jacksons, with most claiming they would have been a bigger act than the Jacksons. It's easy to spot similarities between the DeBarges and the Jacksons, since 8 of the 10 DeBarge siblings had music careers while all 9 Jacksons had solo hits. The Jackson 5 and DeBarge were successful Motown acts, and each had a member named Randy. By extension, that made El DeBarge the Michael Jackson of the DeBarges, with fans claiming he sounded like Michael with a slight cold. As the Michael of the group, El received special treatment from Motown architect Berry Gordy, who saw El as a solo artist. But the prospect of being split up was very painful for the close-knit siblings, according to their mother. El being set apart caused each one of them to have bad feelings, she recalled in 2011. However, in a 1986 interview with the LA Times, El seemed to remember things a little differently, explaining, "I wanted to move out of the group and give the others some creative space. Despite the loneliness he felt without his siblings, El claimed he had wanted to go solo for a while and explore different pastures without having to drag his siblings to his dreams." He also claimed he wanted them to explore their own creativity and musicality away from him, and that motivated him to leave the group. El officially started dancing to his own drum beat after DeBarge released Rhythm of the Night, but he stumbled out of the gate. Previously hailed as the creative soul of DeBarge, he did zero writing or producing for his first solo album, plainly titled El DeBarge. He blamed his lack of involvement on a failed romance, while some alleged that it must have been due to mental exhaustion or the feeling of loss without his siblings. In a 1985 interview with the LA Times, El DeBarge made a weirdly unsettling admission. "There are these personalities in me, so many of them, as if that that wasn't ominous enough, the singer also confessed to fighting some of his multiple personalities before adding, "I don't enjoy some of them and I know other people don't enjoy them either. The police especially didn't enjoy them when they had to encounter Elle all the time committing various crimes." In 1986, Elle pleaded no contest to causing a misdemeanor disturbance after a Michigan woman accused him of attacking her. It was reported that the then 25-year-old singer had allegedly pulled her hair, dragged her to the floor, and hit her when she refused his advances at a hotel. Elle copped a plea and received a $200 fine plus 200 hours of community service. The public felt offended by how small a fine he had to pay despite having committed such a crime, and also the fact that he had enough money to compensate the woman. According to them, $200 was not even a slap on the wrist for a wealthy musician, more like a wrist massage. This didn't stop him from committing more crimes, and in 2007, the singer found himself in handcuffs again, this time for possible domestic violence. Afterward, Elle's more peaceful personalities appeared to take over, but in 2018, TMZ revealed he tried to settle an argument by arming himself with a wrench and chasing a dude. The dude, who wanted no part of Elle or his wrench, fled to an RV, at which point Elle bashed in the vehicle's windshield. He was charged with felony vandalism. While the DeBarges were navigating fame, they were also going through life and experiencing romance, some having to experience heartbreak publicly. This was the case for James DeBarge, who had her heart broken by Janet Jackson. Jackson and DeBarge secretly wed in 1984, when she was 18 and DeBarge was 21, but the marriage was annulled just a year later, in 1985. As People detailed, in 1984, Janet eloped with James DeBarge, but her manager wanted to cultivate the image of nasty Janet, not a carnally unavailable married woman, and so the two had to break up. Also, Janet's family wasn't exactly thrilled about the union, which caught them off guard. There was even a rumor going around that Janet had been pregnant with James' kid and that she had hidden the kid from him. In the second episode of her documentary series on A&E, Janet Jackson addressed this rumor, saying she would never keep a child away from their father. "Back in the day, they were saying that I had a child and I kept it secret," the singer said in the documentary. "I could never keep a child away from James. How could I keep a child from their father? I could never do that. That's not right." In the documentary, Jackson rationalized that she thought the rumors came from a focus on her weight. At the time, Jackson had a recurring role in the hit TV series Fame, and fans paid attention to her physical appearance. "A lot of the kids thought I was pregnant because I had gained weight," Jackson said. "I had started taking birth control pills, and back then, you could pick up weight taking them, and that's what happened to me. So that rumor started going around. At the time, the speculation took different angles." The documentary explained that tabloids suggested Jackson's sister Rebby was raising the child, or even that Jackson's adopted niece was really her own child. In the Janet Jackson documentary, the singer's Fame co-star Debbie Allen made an appearance and laughed off the possibility of Jackson keeping a pregnancy secret during that time period, given that she spent so much time around her co-stars while filming the show. The story about a secret child didn't just come from tabloids. It was later fueled further by DeBarge himself, while Jackson maintained her silence around the matter. In 2017, DeBarge told Radar Online that the existence of his child with Jackson was not a secret and that a woman had contacted him to reveal herself as his daughter. According to a later report from Radar Online, the woman and DeBarge eventually took a paternity test that proved they weren't related after all. Several of the DeBarges have passed away, including their mother, Etterlene DeBarge, who was an icon in gospel music who recently passed at age 88. The mother of 10 died peacefully in her sleep at Berkeley Post-Acute in Woodland Hills Friday morning. Her daughter Etterlene Bunny DeBarge told TMZ. No official cause of death was announced, but insiders did reveal that the music legend had been ill and battling dementia. The publication reported that her daughter Bunny had broke the news on social media to fans, as she said that her mother was in a better place now. Etterlene had a total of 10 children, and 7 of which banded together to play in Motown supergroup DeBarge. She shared all 10 children with Robert DeBarge, whom she met in 1952 and married. The family of a dozen had settled in a predominantly black section of Detroit, and in 1972, the family moved to Grand Rapids, Michigan, where Etterlene's brother, Bishop William Charles Abney Jr., pastored Bethel Pentecostal Church. Unfortunately, Etterlene and Robert divorced 2 years later in 1974. She married for a second time years later as she tied the knot with Puerto Rican George Rodriguez. It is interesting to note that due to her marriage with George, there was a long-time erroneous belief that the DeBarge family was half Hispanic, which is not the case. She was born Etterlene Abney on October 13, 1935, in Royal Oak, Michigan, as one of 12 children and had a twin sister. In May 2014, she authored Other Side of the Pain, as the synopsis reads, mother of famed 80s musical recording group DeBarge shares the untold story of fame, tragedy, and perseverance. Another member of the group was Tommy DeBarge, who died at the age of 64. According to TMZ, the vocalist and musician had been suffering from both liver and kidney failure for some time. He transitioned in the hospital after being admitted a couple of weeks prior. Tommy's daughter, Marina DeBarge, also revealed that her father was one of many who battled COVID-19 during the pandemic. Many took to social media to express solace in regards to the tragic loss, including renowned New Orleans DJ Soul Sister. I just learned the sad news of brilliant bassist Tommy DeBarge. I share my deepest condolences with DeBarge family and with Tommy's Switch family. My appreciation of him really drove the start of my #Switch rabbit hole this year. May he rest peacefully. I only wish I could have met him. She continued on to reveal a fun fact about Tommy's relationship with Williams. Tommy DeBarge was Switch's original bassist, and his work should be discussed alongside other greats like Louis Johnson, Michael Henderson, Freddie Washington. His playing is a whole vibe and helped define Switch's sound. What your take on the DeBarge's life and loss? Tell us in the comment section. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching.